As I read the account, it seemed as though she was sort of semi-conscious and paralyzed, meaning she knew what was happening but couldn't scream, couldn't move.
Absolutely.
Which is often a state of anesthesiology. You know?
That's right. I have my opinions on that as well. So when Ashley first started working for the WWE, she told me in the locker rooms, it was like they handed out Soma like it was candy.
Soma?
Soma. It's a muscle relaxer.
Okay.
So it was what they would give the wrestlers when they were injured because there was no not wrestling.
Sure.
You had a broken arm, you take a Soma, you wrestle. So at that point, she had become addicted to Somas. So she was already in this state. And so whatever they administered to her rendered her helpless. Her body was useless to her, but her mind was there, and she saw what was happening.
And she said to you she was raped and sodomized in that room multiple times. Ultimately, it's just hard to believe that she says that a WWE executive carried her out of that room and to her hotel room.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. He wrapped a blanket around her. He wrapped a blanket around her and carried her out because she still, when he came and got her, she was still limp. She still wasn't able to move her body.
On her own.
Right.
It sort of defies belief, but she said to you, and correct me if I'm wrong, she said to you that they left her, not only left her in that hotel room, they left her in Kuwait alone. Yeah. How did she get back?
She was, they got her a flight. Days after everyone else was already home. She was left alone because they had to go back to work. Vince wanted them back in the USA because they had work to do.
It's unbelievable. She said to you that she told the WWE.
Absolutely.
Specifically, who did she tell?
Well, the gentleman who wrapped her in the blankets, he was an executive for the company. So, you know, at the scene, you have an executive. As soon as she got back to the States, and I mean, she had the phone calls while she was in Kuwait. I mean, it was out from the beginning, right after it happened. As soon as she was able to talk on the phone and get some...
Did it go right to Vince McMahon?
Right to the top, right to the top.
She spoke with Vince McMahon?
She spoke with Vince McMahon many times. Vince had his daughter...
Stephanie McMahon?
Take his place because she was a female, a woman, and to make Ashley comfortable, and they just played with her. They played with her because everything that Stephanie had made her feel comfortable and safe about. As soon as they walked into this boardroom meeting, Ashley was on her own completely, and she was threatened, and there was no compassion, there was no sympathy, there was nothing.
So Ashley Massaro, your best friend, told you that she went into a boardroom.
Yeah, absolutely.
With the WWE, where Stephanie McMahon, Vince McMahon, and other executives were seated.
The entire, yes.
And that's where she was told, this has to stay under wraps.
That is right. And she had, right before she walked into that boardroom, she talked to the locker room doctor, who was aware of everything, and he was actually very sympathetic to her, but he had no pull. So he gave her the advice that he could, and but that was it. You
heard me reading the statement from the WWE earlier, which is effectively, at no time did we hear anything about these allegations about a doctor, a nurse, an assault in Kuwait. We knew nothing about this. And then after the Janelle Grant lawsuit, one of the men who's named as an abuser of Janelle Grant is John Laurinaitis, another executive at WWE. And his lawyer is acknowledging that John Laurinaitis did know. I mean, when you heard that, it's been years since Ashley took her life. When you heard John Laurinaitis' lawyer acknowledge that Ashley had told them, that the WWE was not telling the truth, what was your reaction?
It's about time somebody has a conscience, because there was never a single moment of time that I didn't believe a word that Ashley told me.
So if you had an opportunity to say something to Vince McMahon, what would it be?
Well, that's the question I hadn't thought about. Shame on you. Like, how do you look at yourself? How do you look at the mirror? I mean, obviously he's got problems. You know, he's a sexual deviant. You know, he needs help. He's not well. So the problem is that people with that kind of sickness and mindset and power why do they thrive for so long? Why doesn't anybody stand up? Why are there so many people in that company aware of what's going on to hold these women who keep committing suicide year after year after year, and nobody stands up and says anything? No one tries to protect these young women. Why? Because it's not just Vince, it's the whole freaking company.
Do you think that what happened to Ashley, as she recounted to you, do you think that contributed to her suicide?
99%, absolutely.
Cara Pipia,